Hey YouTube, this is Chris Mustache. I'm the movie critic that must ask a bunch of questions during a movie. We're gonna get into another review. So today I'll be reviewing Us, which was directed by Jordan Peele. It's about a mother known as Adelaide Wilson and her family that decide to take a vacation to their beach home. This woman has a troubled past. There is some mystery to that. There are some issues that have been plaguing her that make her feel uneasy when she's at the beach. And during their trip, their vacation takes an unexpected turn when they are visited by a group of strangers, and it is revealed that these strangers are their doppelgangers. What I really liked about this movie, most of all, was the writing. I think Jordan Peele has a very great talent for writing, and when I saw Get Out, I had very high expectations when I was coming into this movie because he set the bar so high for himself, which was a good and bad thing at the same time. You know, his first breakout movie as a director, Get Out, was so big, so well done, that the expectations for this film, I had very big ones. So I wasn't disappointed by the writing itself. And more specifically, what I liked most about the writing was the use of symbolism to help create a trail towards the reveals that will happen later on in the movie. And like I've said in previous videos, that reveals are commonplace for all movies. It should be. If it doesn't have one, it sort of loses its luster. There has to always be that mystery, so it keeps our attention as an audience. And with this film, he really lays those clues out right from the get-go, and it's all laid it out. It's very interspersed, it's very subtle, and it's hard to catch it unless you already know what the ending is. So that foreshadowing is very perfect for any sort of reveals, any sort of plot changes, because what I always say is, if there isn't any breadcrumbs at the beginning, when I go to, you know, grandma's house, I'm gonna be blown away. I would just think it was just an act of pure luck. It wasn't as if the writer intended to do that at all. So I really like that most about his writing, was that foreshadowing. It was very well done. It was very thoughtful, and what was nice was that every scene that was in this film really attributed to the rest of it, so it built on top of each other. It didn't feel like anything that was happening in that first act was just pure pandering to get us to like the characters, you know. So they had the character development in that first act where we learn a lot about the family, but also we get that sense of mystery that is accompanied with all horror genres. Now onto the dialogue. The dialogue in this film felt very organic, felt very real. It felt like actual conversations that people would have with each other, especially a family. And I especially liked that the father had this comic relief, and you could really see Peele's comedy that just, you know, trickles into this horror film. Like, he really creates a great atmosphere for the horror itself, but add in his acumen for comedy, it really gives that film that extra dimension, that extra angle that not all horror films can accomplish well. Because sometimes it just feels like that other horror films will just go along with the tropes, and Jordan Peele just takes that away and really puts a really fresh taste on that horror genre itself, and then in that first act. I liked also how each family member had their own unique characteristics that we are shown in the beginning of the film without it being too explicit. It was as if, you know, we were seeing them in the day of their life, and they never had to say outright what they did, what they liked, their expectations, their desires. It all felt very subtle. It felt like I was really watching a family and seeing what kind of dynamic that they had. When we were introduced to the family, the eeriness that was set by the Adelaide, the mother's past, really helped keep me stitched into the first act. Because sometimes I find myself in the first act of films getting bored because, you know, they're always just trying to establish the characters in a way that's not that creative. They just think they have to push right through it. But Jordan Peele does a great job where he set this precedence very early on that she has this past, she has these memories that affects her in this current situation, which helped drive the plot forward. It didn't feel like I was plodding along. It felt like we were really building, and we were getting into this crescendo. All these different elements were coming together very nicely at the very beginning. Also, what I liked about this film was the acting. The acting was very superb, and especially the acting when it came to the doppelgangers. I thought Jordan Peele and the actors and the whole team that was involved helped create this unique kind of villain, unique kind of monster, unique kind of thing that is plaguing this family. That's what was really nice. The way that the actress changed the way she was speaking, even the body contortions, not even just Adelaide, it was all of them. So Tim Heidecker's family, that was the actor, Tim Heidecker, and his family, they also had interesting ways of holding themselves and their postures with that doppelganger look. So that was just very interesting, and I thought that really added a unique element, as in the acting itself. Now let's go on to the cinematography. I thought the cinematography in this film was very well done. What I like to see with movies is when they have a motion shot, say a dolly in, the next shot should be another dolly in. It feels it feels good when that motion matches on top of each other, when you have it back to back, because it can be a little bit disorienting when you go, say you have a dolly in and then you do a dolly from left to right. So what was nice about this movie, that they really focused in on that cinematography in terms of that movement to really bring you slowly in when you really need to get closer to the family and closer to the action and the drama that was ensuing, and also pulled back when it was also necessary. I liked the use of wide shots, even when there was certain scenes, certain action scenes that happened that would traditionally be done very close up, but they let the scenes breathe and let the scenes just show you the beauty of the shot itself, and I really enjoyed that. What I also liked was, within the cinematography, playing off the doppelganger idea, there was a lot of mirror shots. So there were shots of a subject and also their reflection. So that really helped us, see that, again, more foreshadowing, but in the cinematography itself. So we're seeing Adelaide and a reflection of herself. So we're constantly seeing these doubles, and all these doubles really contribute to another layer of this film. It's like a really good cake, really moist cake. And there's a lot of layers to this cake, and from the top down, from the writing all the way down to the cinematography, there was all these elements that really spoke to what the plot was getting at and where it was heading to. Also, what I liked about the cinematography was some of the lighting. The lighting was very motivated meaning every light in the shot had its purpose, and what didn't feel like it was just meant to be a beautified shot. Like sometimes you'll see films where they'll have a hair light behind their head and it'll really just look too nice. What was nice about this film, they really kept it organic to the scene. And even the color change of the lighting changed when we go into a descent of a discovery that is going to be made. I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's a discovery made by the Adelaide, by the main actress, that really the cinematography adds that another level that will contribute again to the whole. Another great part about this movie was the music. So the music, from the very opening scene, we hear these eerie children voices, and as you watch the film, you'll see why it really contributes to it, because it sounds like a group of people, and a group of people that are, in a big chamber. And thinking about that, and when you think about that, when you plot on forward through the film, you'll see why that contributes to it, because they are creating, first of all, eeriness, first of all, creepiness, all of that just scary atmosphere, but also it has that childish wonderment, childish connection, that childish, optimism of life, and you'll sort of see that when you see the conclusion of the film as well. So after watching this movie and reviewing it and thinking about it, I ended up giving this film a 7 out of 10. So I'm giving it a solid 7 out of 10. And I'll tell you why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. So when we compare this movie to other horror films, it is unique. It is something very new. It's very unique in its execution, but the idea itself is something that, we can sort of expect from a horror film. So when I came in with the expectations from Get Out, so with Get Out, it was a very deep movie. It was deep on many levels. It was deep because it, like Us, it was subverting the expectations that we have for horror films, but also it hit a very interesting note about human nature, about our society at the time. So it really had that essence of thinking, as well as being a spectacle, also being something that you could just watch for pure pleasure. But here with Us, what I can say, it is mostly just a horror movie. There aren't as many layers deep. I don't see it as deep as Get Out, because what it's playing off of is very similar to what other horror genres do and other stories have already gone through that isn't as thematic, isn't as groundbreaking or provoking as Get Out was. So again, I'm giving this film a solid 7 out of 10. It's definitely really worth the watch. It should be on your list. You should watch this movie because it is going to set a precedence for other horror movies afterwards. It's very unique. It's very fresh. So check it out, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright guys, did you love it? Did you hate it? What'd you think of it? Put it down in the comments. Let me know. You know, this is just my opinion, so I always like to hear back from my audience. Guys, remember to subscribe below if you want to see more reviews. You'll also be seeing a bunch of other fun stuff I'll be doing. I'll be playing around with music, doing some DJing, just giving you a lot of entertainment in the day of my life as Chris Mustache.